This was pretty disappointing. Let me start off with something amazing. This cover. I mean, gosh, that dragon, it's a gorgeous cover. So that's why I'm gonna keep this, and I'm gonna give away this. I love dragons, so I was excited for this book. You have a dragon in your book, you already won half the battle of convincing me to love it. So what is Priory of the Orange Tree all about? Essentially, 3 countries. You have the West, Inys, I-N-Y-S, Inys, ruled by a queendom. Every queen has a princess daughter, always a daughter. This royal line keeps the Nameless One at bay. If that line runs out, death and destruction will wreak havoc on the world in a tide of blood and fury. The Nameless One is a gigantic dragon, so Inys hates dragons. However, across the sea, you have the East, a very Asian-inspired country. I get that feel. Seki, it's called Seki. They worship dragons, love them. There are 2 types of dragons, by the way. You have, let's see, High Westerns are bad, and what are the others called? Sekinese. There's good dragons that are like from the water, bad dragons from fire. The dragons were the best part of the book, by the way, but they were so few, and that's another point for another time. Then you have the South. Lazia? I don't really know. There's so many names in this book, which I'm not opposed to. Good world building. It was a very nice world. Very culture. Each country had its own cultural. Each country had its own culture. I appreciated that. It was a very well done world. But the characters, oh my gosh. So, 3 countries, book told in 4 points of views. You have Tane, the dragon rider from the east, training up to be the sea guard and to choose her own dragon one day, or the dragon choose her if she's worthy. You have Ied, a lady of the chamber for the Princess Sabrin of Inys, secretly there to make sure that if this claim that her bloodline keeps the poison one, the Nameless One at bay is true, we should probably protect her. She's sent from the south. The South are dragon slayers, and their little cult, I don't know, religion, it's called the Priory of the Orange Tree. And if I had to choose where I'd live in this world, it'll be with that one. You got a magic orange tree, gives you superpowers, I'm good. Those are our lady protagonists. Then we have a nice fellow named Loth. He's simple, he just wants a wife. He forms too close of a friendship to the princess Queen Sabrin, so he gets sent away like, you're too much trouble, just go. He gets sent to this barbaric land where they worship the bad dragons, so he's gotta wiggle his way out of that mess along with his friend Kit. Then we have my least favorite character, Nicholas. Just some old man in exile. I don't like Nicholas. Nicholas and Tane were awful. Nicholas because he was just a watcher. He wasn't like involved in anything. He didn't do anything. He didn't progress the plot at all. He gives refuge to a stowaway, I'm gonna call it. But aside from that, no. And he's just an awful person, which is fine. I love that gray, but there's no redeeming anything. Except for that long-lost love he had a long time ago, who perished so painfully, and I'll never get over it, so I'm gonna be a butthole to everyone. Yeah, so I didn't like him. Then there was Tane, greatest disappointment in all the land. I was so excited for this part. Tane, she's a dragon rider, basically. She's going through that intense training, we think. Do we see the intense training? We see a few fights, but the training leading up to the fights? No. We have in-depth chapters of Ied changing bed sheets in the Queen's castle in the west, her going about her chamber duties. But do we get to see all the knife throwing and dragon riding and sea training? Learning how to ride a breeze with the salt spray clouding up your eyes and vision? No. Tane's perspective is like this. Like, oh, I did so much in those other 3 perspectives, I have to rush Tane so we can get into the actual plot. Tane's basically the girl who's the best at everything without really trying. And I got really mad at her when like one of her friends got captured and she went off into exile with like self-pity or whatever. And it took her forever to finally gear up and go try to save her friend. And she had a rival named Terosa, and I liked him more than her. So like, finally, tension. They're like, I'm gonna be the best dragon rider. And Tane, this is what like, she like never like taunted him. She was super respectful to him, even though they're like the same age. He's just like richer than her. She's like, I'm sure you will do very well, honorable Terosa. I like that. But then after she beats him in a fight, we never see him again. Thanks. I liked him. Loth is just, the character Loth, he's lost in this barbaric land, and he was pretty cool. Like, he was just a guy trying to make his way in the world, dealing with all these supernatural forces, a draconic plague. Now, I really don't like plagues in books. Like, Lunar Chronicles, Legend. I just get tired of them. They're always like created by some government, and they're just like, oh, you get sick and die. This plague was actually pretty cool because there was like 2 strains. One, you do get sick and die, or the other one where like a really cool dragon named Frydrell, I think, like possesses you. Nice. I like that. More of that, please. So Loth is just like wandering around trying to get back home, and there's like basilisks running around, cockatrices, I think that's what they're called. These cool little creatures that are like half dragon, half wolf. The monsters that I want to see more of. At least I got them with him. He travels around with his friend named Kit, I think I said that. Kit is my favorite character because he's funny and he just wants to go home and write poetry. Ead, E-A-D, I know I'm not pronouncing any of these names right, but who cares? The author probably, and a lot of other people who like this book. Ead, she is sent from the south to protect this Queen Sabran, so she's like an assassin, a mage, maid, she does it all. And she definitely has the best point of view. All the action happens around her, she was fine. However, I'm not a plot-based reader. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It really changes based on the mood of the book. But I do place like a heavy emphasis on character. I didn't like Tane. I didn't like Nicholas. So half of the chapters of this book are already like, I don't care. Loth was okay. Ead was fine. So I wasn't enjoying most half of it. And for you plot-based readers out there, basically the thing is, the Nameless One is rising. The signs are coming that even though Queen Sabran is alive and she can have children, so the bloodline will continue, the signs are everywhere that, oh, he's still coming back, like, now. So, throughout this book, you're waiting. You're waiting, and you're waiting. You're sloshing through all this royal stuff, dressing up for weddings and dancing. Tane's talking to a dragon about, awesome lore. And no, it's not awesome. It's boring. The fighting is not there most of the time. And it was very boring. Like in July, I only gave myself 2 books to read because I wanted to learn how to do Final Cut Pro. And so I told myself read 40 pages a day of Priory. I struggled with that because it was such a bad book. I wasn't into any of the romances, which is like, where to go? Oh, yeah, it's not in there. Which is pretty much what half of the book is about. Basically, if there was fighting or a dragon was on the scene, that's the only time I was happy. And oh my gosh, Tane and Nicholas. I cannot get over how passive they were, and one's a warrior. Like, there's this scene where a building is on fire, people are running around, dragons are attacking, and Tane's just like, I'm just looking for something. Yeah, all of you just like deal with your own stuff. Yeah. Also, this book rips off Inuyasha. And everybody's the descendant of some awesome queen, so they have this powerful bloodline, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and destiny draws them together, blah, 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 blah. Convenient, and it was very anticlimactic. And of course, like, it's basically the Hobbit, the bad dragon. He has this one loose scale above his heart. I can barely remember the finale because it wasn't good. And then this book made me realize how many things I don't like. So imagine this big climactic battle at the end of the book. People die. Good fight scenes sometimes, but ultimately no. I mean, the dragons were the best. But then after it all ends, cut to a time skip and everyone's just living their best lives. I'm like, well, I'm glad war had such a fine effect on you. Way to miss out on all the juicy bits that happened afterwards. The writing is very beautiful, very nice, but besides a magical orange tree, nothing is really special. And water dragons. I think I'll give this a 2. It's basically 2 stars. I think beneath all that pretty writing, it just relies on a bunch of cliches. Destiny draws our unlikely heroes together, forbidden romance, that stupid dragon scale. There was one scene where, just go ahead and put a spoiler thing right here, Nicholas, he got his hand cut off at one moment, and I'm like, good, now die. He didn't. He lived to be awful another day. I don't like Nicholas. I'm just gonna say it again. I don't. So that, stowaway spy he takes into his house reluctantly. I think his name was Trium? Let me not Google. So Trium is he snuck into Seki, the eastern country that worships dragons, to try to plead with the emperor, whoever he is, to reestablish a bond with the West, because the West hates dragons while the East loves dragons, so naturally they don't like each other. And in the beginning I was like, why can't we be in his head? I mean, he was really love-struck with the girl he left behind in Innes, but he's better than Nicholas. But that wouldn't work out because his head got cut off. I will give credit to this book for, like, killing all the people you might actually care about. Someone I was fond of died. And it was kind of cool because I had, like, a premonition, like, oh my gosh, I sense it. This character's gonna die. And it did. So if you like a bunch of traveling scenes where, like, no one's talking, read it. If you like unlikable characters with no redeeming qualities, or the girl who's the best at everything without trying, read it. If you want minimal contact with dragons, read it. If you want to see a lady just walk around naked every time she's on screen, on page, here you go. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but like all the books I've been recently have been like glorifying nipples. Am I missing something? Very pretty world, pretty cover. The dragons looked pretty in my head, but it was not meant to be. Oh, I remember another thing. Like, does it bother you guys when you're on like one path in the book and you know the objective, but like random bit of information or history is just like thrown into it, and now like the path is sort of like branching off into two other things? I feel like that at the last bit of the book, information was just like thrown at us to make the overall plot and all the characters come together, and I didn't care because you just threw it at me, book. You didn't give me time to like connect to it, and I do not appreciate that. And that is why you're going to the library, far away from my bookshelf. Well, everybody, I'm Casey. This is a beautiful dragon who will be staying with me. This is an awful book that I will not look at ever again. It writes well. Said that 4 times. Oh, I just found the name Aralag? The beast thing that follows Ied. I liked him. He was a good character. Barely talked. Because you know he's an animal. But he's still good. Thank you everybody for watching. I am Casey. Keep turning pages in a hopefully much better book. Bye!